The Bounce Bracelet is an upgrade for Sonic that you acquire in Pyramid Cave. The upgrade in question can be found about a quarter way into the stage, where you will be greeted with a rather tall jump, almost foreshadowing what you're going to be getting next. You can find the Bounce Bracelet in the middle of the path here, where it's explained that pressing the action button while midair will cause you to bounce, and it's a pretty easy mechanic to learn. You'll get the hang of it rather quickly. As you use the bracelet more, you will learn that sometimes one bounce won't be enough to clear height. Sometimes you'll need to do double, triple, even quadruple bounce in order to get your desired height, but it only takes at most an extra second, so it's not really a big deal. It's a fun and harmless move for Sonic's arsenal, but on that same token, its application in Adventure 2 is quite limited considering it's only really used in Pyramid Cave and Crazy Gadgets. While Adventure 2 doesn't give it a huge variety of purposes, it's still a fun move to use, as said before, and you can even use it to chain bigger and greater enemy combos than ever before. Now, I'm not really here to talk about the regular rounds. I mean, sure, it was nice enough to allow me to get the magic hands in City Escape, but there's something that is so much better. And it all starts with getting that bounce bracelet and taking the simple concept and the simple action of jumping a little bit higher and cranking it up to 100. Context. You revisit Pyramid Cave and you accidentally fall down here. Now you could use the hourglass and get out of here traditionally, or you could be cool and learn a new technique. Let's be cool and learn a new technique. Your bounce bracelet is not just something that increases your height, it's a full-on axis converter. What you travel into a wall at will be transferred into vertical momentum and will dictate how high you go. A simple way to do this would be to line yourself up with a wall, spin dash into it, and then as you hit the wall, you press your jump button followed by an immediate press of your action button. Doing this successfully will allow you to propel yourself upwards in a great height that you otherwise wouldn't even be able to come close to under regular means. You can even press your jump and action button at the same time as you hit a wall. That might work better for some. I know for me it certainly does, and it still works the same way, so all the power to you, whichever works best for you. But what about this crazy maneuver makes it so useful? I mean, sure, you could jump high, but in real time, what type of benefit does it provide? Oh, buddy, you are in for a shock. First hourglass? Skip it. You don't need it. Save yourself a time. Fell down here and you're anxious to get out? No problem. Superbounce right out, second saved again. You not like this part of the stage? Don't worry, old chap. Just go right over top of it. What's the problem? Hate this gimmick in Pyramid Cave? Go right through the wall. Are you psyched to reach that pulley but realize you can't because you don't have Mystic Melody? Don't worry, we got you covered. Want to grind on a rail you couldn't reach? Doesn't matter. Superbounce it. Golden Beetle putting you in a bad mood? Skip it altogether. We don't need it here. Who do you think we are? Is the Ancient Ruins denying you a Lost Chow and possibly a good rank to go with it because you don't have Mystic Melody? Don't worry, just Superbounce over the invisible wall. You don't need Mystic Melody, but Mystic Melody needs you. In the midst of showing Mystic Melody who's boss, do you feel like the Hourglass showed you who's boss? Well, guess what? You show that wall who's boss and you get that Chow anyway. Is Crazy Gadget pissing you off? Great, make it like a Kit Kat and break it in half. And Sonic Team rewards you for doing so with a very conveniently placed extra life? Shit, I'll take it. Breaking the game has never felt so fun, and yet for Sonic's case, it's never felt so right either. Having this one thing in our moveset makes playing Sonic instantly much more dynamic than playing as Shadow. Shadow wins the points for having the better story and the much greater emotional impact than Sonic was ever capable of reaching, but gameplay-wise, Sonic Adventure 2 Sonic is peak. Classic Sonic was always about taking advantage of the terrain. Slopes were his game, and let's be honest, it was ours too. Adventure 1 Sonic also carried that without making many changes to it. But Adventure 2 Sonic just says, doesn't matter if it's sloped or completely perpendicular, we are going to break the game. Some people might argue that the Superbounce is too overpowered, but remember, Sonic is about having fun and having thrills, and I think the Superbounce complements his character to a T. It's a shame that Shadow does get the shorter end of the stick in Adventure 2, because as a playable character, he only has 4 stages to himself, and he doesn't have a moveset that's quite as fun and game-breaking as Sonic's. The Superbounce is an unintended masterpiece, and it's something that makes Sonic's levels just that littlest bit better. I think along the way, Sonic Team probably forgot that Sonic can be a little bit broken, but so long as he functions, it's totally fine. In fact, as long as he feels good to control, why worry about the restraints of the world around him? Sonic is all about freedom and the thrills of such. And being able to super bounce in Adventure 2 is Sonic giving a middle finger to everything around him and just having a good time, because ultimately that's what the blue blur is about. In fact, that was what both Sonic Adventure games were about too. After all, in Adventure 1, Sonic took what he knew from his classic era, which was taking advantage of terrain, and was put into a game where the terrain could not be more exploitative if they tried. In Adventure 2's case, they did slightly dial back the terrain manipulation, but in exchange we got to play with our new toys such as the Bounce Bracelet, where we decided to work with more verticality than anything. And once the community had adapted to the Superbounce technique, there was no going back. We're still manipulating that same terrain to this very day, but just in a different way than Adventure 1. Adventure 1 and 2 go hand in hand as far as prequel and sequels go, but not only are they great just as a duo, they're great in general. Between Unleashed and Frontiers, a 14-year period, Sonic was mostly confined to rails, and those are rails that were engineered by Sonic Team. We were basically stuck with how they wanted us to play and never allotted the freedom to go our own path. And that's what made Adventure 1 and Adventure 2 so great for Sonic in particular. Not only did it force us to be more creative and artistic, but we had to put our thinking caps on when playing through these worlds. And in this case, we had to figure out how to think like Sonic. That's what the adventure games were about when playing with this infamous hedgehog, and it achieved that with flying colors, and the Superbounce is evidence of that. That, ladies and gentlemen, is my love letter to the Superbounce.